Hey guys, Bangity Bangs here with a new video. And you guys, the time has come for a new bookshelf tour. Oh crap. Let me try not to destroy them before this is over. So guys, I think this video has been long overdue since my bookshelves have literally doubled since I did my last bookshelf tour about a year ago. So go ahead and get comfortable, sit back and grab a snack, relax because we're probably gonna be here for a while. It's time for Bangity Bangs Bookshelf Tour 2016 edition. Okay, so I'm not going to be as thorough as I was in my last bookshelf tour because I just have too many books now. And if I take the time to talk about each one individually, then we're just going to be here all night. And I'm not trying to do that. So I'm just going to give an overview of what's on each of the 4 shelves here because I did kind of try to adhere to themes for each one. I mean, I thought about where I was putting each book at least and tried to kind of lump them together wherever they would fit, but there were some that just didn't really fit anywhere and I just kind of chucked them wherever there was room. So I'm just going to talk briefly about each one and maybe point out a few key highlights, like books that I really enjoy. And also I do have 2 wine bottles on the top of my bookshelf, but they're not really wine bottles anymore. You see, they've been converted to candles, so I think that's pretty nifty. Okay, so this first shelf here has got sort of a fantasy theme with all the King Arthur stuff, and there's Dune there, so some sci-fi and some of Holly Black's fantasy stuff. Stephen King, The Eyes of the Dragon, I've heard that's a really good fantasy novel that I need to get to. Legend of Earthsea, all my Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia stuff, and then there's like Red Rising over there, and some random like old fantasy books that I picked up from a used bookstore. And then going down to the next shelf, this is like, so I got my Barnes & Noble Classics editions all grouped together because they're just so pretty and I love looking at them. I think they look really well together as a group. And then I've thrown in, see, The Outlander by Diana Gabaldon because I still need to start that series. I want to get to it soon. And also some more Stephen King here just because, and the first 2 books in J.K. Rowling's series under her pseudonym Robert Galbraith, The Cuckoo's Calling and Silkworm. And then down here I've got some more Barnes & Noble's classic editions, only in the not as pretty paperback versions, and got a few just random assorted YA novels there, like, you know, first books of a series that I didn't get the rest of yet. And then I put Chris Colfer's series that he wrote, The Land of Stories, there because I actually think those books are really pretty, so I wanted them displayed. Then of course the centerpiece here, The Little Prince, one of my favorite books ever, like probably one of my favorite children's books, definitely. It's got kind of a place of honor right there, and got my cool little magnifying glass to go with Sherlock Holmes there, and also this battle axe thing that I got from my dad. I think he got it from Goodwill or something, like one of his friends was going to take it to Goodwill, I think, and he gave it to me. I thought it would look really cool on my bookshelf. And then down here we have like a bunch of nonfiction books that actually are just kind of about topics that I'm interested in, like history and science and stuff, and a few fiction things. Like I got my Tales of the Arabian Nights that Joffrey there is standing on top of, and yeah, there's like Odyssey and Iliad and Greek mythology. I've always been really into that, and Beowulf books over here. And down there at the very bottom is where I just kind of stuffed some random books that I acquired that didn't really fit in anywhere else. There's some old Stephen King novels that I got actually at an anime convention of all things, and Life of Pi, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and that tote bag that I got from a writers conference here in North Carolina that actually is full of game pieces, I think, for one of my board games. Then on my next shelf at the top is the designated Shadowhunters area. You see I have all the Mortal Instruments right here and all of Infernal Devices, the Bane Chronicles over here, which got pretty recently, and I've stuck my little goblet over here too because I thought it kind of looked like the Mortal Cup, so thought that would be cool, and a little Raichu there hanging out for some reason. And then here below that I got all my Harry Potter stuff, like all the original books that I read when I was a kid and the new illustrated one, plus a couple of extras, like that's the Cookbook and Tales of Beetle the Bard, and some more YA, Hunger Games, and Divergent. Also, this just because I love Legend of Zelda Ocarina. And then down here we have a shelf without really a very clear theme. I guess it's mostly fantasy with like the Child Thief of Peter Pan retelling over there and some William Shakespeare's Star Wars and the Wheel of Time series, or what I have of it so far, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And then also just threw in John Green's books over here. My whole John Green collection minus Will Grayson because that's being loaned out to a friend right now. But there was room here for that. And then the rest of this shelf is pretty much all gaming stuff. Like here I have a lot of RPG and board game type stuff. Like that's what all of these are. These are all RPGs, and this is a giant D20 that actually is like a dipping bowl when you pull it apart. And these are some Dungeons and Dragons related books over here. And at the very bottom we got some more tabletop games. These two, the ones on top and bottom, were actually, I thought they were going to be a lot more fun than they ended up being, but this one here in the middle, Descent: A Journey into the Dark, is awesome. So if you're into tabletop games, definitely check that one out. Okay, so on the next shelf there's kind of a Star Wars theme going on as far as the knickknacks are concerned, but yeah, I just have a bunch of Star Wars stuff, so this is the shelf where they ended up. But on the top here, I got all of my YouTuber books with Hannah Hart's and Joey Graceffa's, Tyler Oakley's, and just some other kind of random books thrown in there, like Mistborn and a random Civil War book over here, and a journal that I write in. But one thing that I do want to point out that is pretty cool over here is this Unsettling Wonder. This is a literary journal that I actually have a story published in, you guys. You see? Benjamin Darnell. That's me. The story's called Lady of the Loom. So you guys, this is actually something that you can buy on the internet. Or, you know, I happen to have an extra one if anybody wants it. And then moving on down, I've got just a shelf of YA with all my Alexandra Bracken stuff, Darkest Minds trilogy, I've got the Grisha trilogy, and I've got all of the Luna Chronicles over here, and a little Darth Vader head. And then there's some more YA stuff and middle grade fantasy with, I got all my Percy Jackson series and that cool little box set, the Magnus Chase first one, and then all of my Sarah J. Maas books. I've got the Throne of Glass, all of them, which I've finally read all of them. So happy about the Court of Thorns and Roses, and Fangirl and Carry On over here by Rainbow Rowell, which I still haven't read either of those yet, but need to get to that soon. And also like a random book of Robert Frost poems, because why not? And then moving towards the bottom, I got some more gaming tabletop stuff. This is Pathfinder. It's a game kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, and a neat little Mortal and Pestle on top of it that Jeremy actually gave me for Christmas one year. And then a bunch of like random assorted fantasy books, and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. You got that trilogy down here all together. And then down here at the very bottom is just sort of an overflow for random books who couldn't really find a home anywhere else. I got my ARC for More Happy Than Not, and there's like some science fiction literary magazine, so I think like Asimov's down there, and I got some Legend of Zelda manga, which I never really got into manga, but I've always been a big fan of Legend of Zelda, so I got those at an anime convention. And now we finally come to my last set of shelves. So this is the most recent bookshelf that I put together, so it's also kind of the most sparse, but I've tried to sort of stick with an adult epic fantasy sort of theme for this one, except for the top is kind of a mixed match of stuff. There's a bunch of like middle grade and young adult stuff thrown in, and I got my Ernest Cline books over here, Ready Player One, my favorite book of last year probably, and Armada, which I still haven't read. But I might switch some of these around a little bit to make room for more of the fantasy stuff. Like I might put the Wheel of Time series up here. And then down here we're starting to see more of the adult epic fantasy theme sort of kick in with the Sword of Shannara series, which still need to read this book and watch the TV show because I've heard good things about it, and Patrick Rothfuss's books, Name of the Wind, Wise Man's Fear, the Saga graphic novels. And also, this little tree guy is actually an incense holder, and I thought he would look cool on the shelf. Because, you know, books and fire, that's always a good mix, right? In fact, and I hope this isn't going to be a really bad idea, but I want to light this guy right now just to see what it looks like. Okay, hopefully I don't end up burning my apartment down with this. Can you see the smoke coming out? Oh yeah, that looks cool. This might be cool if it had like my Lord of the Rings books over here actually, because this guy is basically an ent. So the rest of this tour is going to be pretty smoky. And then over here I got some like random old fantasy books. These two over here, Sanctuary and First Blood, are from this kind of joint effort world. Thieves World is like a setting that a bunch of authors would write for. It's pretty cool fantasy. And then over here I got the Paris Review, like 4 issues of it, because I went on this kick a little while ago where I thought I was gonna read Paris Review all the time, but I've only read like the first one that I got so far and need to catch up a lot on the other 3. But this is supposed to be some highbrow stuff right here. Oh, you can see the smoke pretty well from this angle. Isn't that cool? Ooh, smoky book fantasy dungeon. Okay, and then this shelf space down here is exclusively reserved for A Song of Ice and Fire stuff. You see, I got the whole series here, all of it that has been written so far, and I've got these extra supplementary books like The World of Ice and Fire, that big history of all of Westeros and everything, and the most recent thing that George R. R. Martin released, those 3 novellas, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms with Duncan Egg. And then I've got these bookends, which I'm super excited about. I've had them for a while, but they used to be over on another side of the apartment, so you guys never saw them. But this is the Targaryen Dragon and the Stark Wolf over here. So I just thought they were so cool. And then of course I got a little Tyrion figure here, and I've left some room on this shelf to actually be able to expand this. So when the last 2 books of this series finally get written, then I think this shelf will be full and perfect. And then down here I've got just more fantasy and gaming stuff. This is all Dungeons and Dragons, like the starter set and some handbooks. And then over here is Numenera, which is another kind of tabletop role-playing game, only this one's a little bit more sci-fi. And then this is another thing that burns incense, but I don't have any cones for it right now, and a little dragon figure and Link over there. And this book is really cool. It's called Fairies, and it was illustrated by Brian Froud and Alan Lee. I think Alan Lee did a lot of the original illustrations first, like The Hobbit and some of the Lord of the Rings books. But this has a bunch of cool inspirational stuff, and I like to look at it when I'm writing fantasy stories. Also, this sack right here is a dice bag, in case any of you are wondering. It's got my whole collection of role-playing dice. See, they're all just like colorful and cool. I like to collect these. And then down at the very bottom, I have my Monopoly Game of Thrones edition and a drinking horn down there. And sadly, I've yet to even open that box and play it because all of my friends are lame and none of them want to play with me. So if any of you guys ever want to play Game of Thrones Monopoly with me, just feel free to come on over whenever. And that's it, you guys, my entire bookshelf. So now you're all 100% up to date with all the books and everything that I own. So hopefully that was satisfying, and hopefully it didn't take too long. I guess I'll find out here in a few minutes once I edit this video. But before I leave, I do want to give you guys a special announcement. So I've recently started a Wattpad, and I want to start posting like little short stories and stuff on there, just to kind of let you guys see the stuff that I'm writing and stuff that I'm thinking about until, hopefully I can get a novel published one day soon. But I have uploaded my first short story on there, and it's called Death and Love. It's about a Grim Reaper who falls in love with a dying girl and a necromancer who wants her for himself, and just all the consequences of their forbidden relationship. So if that sounds like something that you might enjoy, go check it out. I'll leave a link down below. But I think that's it for today's video now, guys. So I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, then please hit the like button. Also follow me on all social medias. They'll all be listed down there: Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Goodreads. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed and want to be notified whenever I post a new video. I post bookish, nerdy videos like this as often as I can. And I hope you guys just have a great night, and I will see you all in the very near future with a new video. Okay, love you, bye.